From an undisclosed locations, for reasons of security and insecurity, we present to you tonight MnR Live TV Show, and tonight's guest will be Dr. Edward Spencer. He'll be talking about hidden powers, world turmoil, and a hidden race called Homo Capensis. If that's how we pronounce it, hopefully I didn't butcher the saying of it. But without further ado, let me introduce to you the one, the only, Mario, the Coffee Man, Madman.
Yes, Robert. It's good to be back on. It's like the whole week. It's like I was waiting for this moment, you know, to be on the show. I love the show. I love doing the show. It's like it's my heart's blood. It runs in my veins.
Exactly. And tonight, what a guest we have. We have Dr. Edward Spencer, whose his private practice was neurology from California, but he's now retired, and he's got a lot of information about what's going on in the world. And also, he was last week's guest. We had Karen Hudges, and we remember I asked her about these beings or these species that live with us on the earth, and she referred me to Dr. Edward Spencer, and tonight we've got him coming on at 8:15 p.m. But without further ado, do what you've got to do right now.
Yes, and if people were paying attention to last week's show, they understood what was going on for this week's show. This week's show is the mystery of last week's show, but now we're unveiling more stuff. That's why you're here. You're here to hear the stuff, the truth, the stuff that are not in mainstream media, because that's controlled, and this is not controlled. We're telling you exactly, I almost had my glasses just to tell you that. We're telling you exactly what we know, and the more we know, the more we dig, the more we're going to share with you. So people, brace yourselves, go out, get a drink, you can get popcorn, you do what you got to do, and we'll do what we got to do, and that is to start the show. Now, this is who I am, Mario. You can call me Mario. I like being called Mario. I can live with that. So now I'm going to do what I have to do, which is go onto the screen and show you exactly what I want you to see. So like that, you get the proof because you want the proof. Right, Rob?
We're going to give the proof. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. And what an act. While you do that, what an action-packed show we've got tonight, a world of information with the one and only Dr. Edward Spencer. Will be coming on at 8:15, and my God, I'm so excited. All week I've been waiting to have this gentleman on the show. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful show, and we're going to get a lot of information. But Mario, are you ready?
Oh, I'm all set and done. Here it is. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is 12160.info. So you got here, you got the description, well, the title, the description, and you got the video. If you don't see the video, it's simple. You just press refresh because you probably bookmarked it by now, and you know that that's what it appears. And if you don't see that, you just got to press refresh and hit this right there, ding, and you shall see us live. Whatever wants to see us live.
And use
the tango right underneath.
It's a great web, great chat room.
Yes, and you could participate just like all these lovely people are there. You can debate, you can participate, you can do whatever you want. Me, I like it, and I'm sure you like it. So enjoy. Bookmark this. I encourage you, everybody, to bookmark this. Now, next. Oh yeah, okay. Oops. There we go, next.
There's our blog right there, the MnR Live TV blog.
Yes, with beautiful Montreal in the back, and it's MnRproductions.mariolaur.blogspot.ca. And if you go down, because you're tired of seeing Montreal, but I'm not tired of seeing Montreal because it's beautiful, darn pretty, darn beautiful city, even though it's different, but that's a mixed Montreal. So you got the description, got the title. You got here the show, like it's the same principle as 12160 in a nutshell, to make this long story short, right?
Except on the side you've got all the videos that we've made.
Yes, our history. kind of like an archive. You see, that's what it is. It's an archive. It says it right on top. You guys, if we don't do a show like for next week or the week after or whatever the schedule may be, or if we get run over by trucks, or if the UN comes and gets us, or FEMA, well, you can see us. All our past shows are right there.
And I also forgot to say to you guys, boy, I'm going to get in trouble. This show's been brought to you by the Montreal Anti-Illuminati Task Force in collaboration with 12win60.info.
Yes, and you got your tango right here. So, like I said, enjoy it, bookmark this blog, and you can enjoy all our old shows and how we began, and it's all there. So that's it for that. Anybody have any questions, or leave comments? Another thing, whatever we post up in tonight's show shall appear in the description, including this blog. So next, this is what everybody loves.
Conspiracy talk.
And we have the same thing on Google Plus community.
And this is the greatest, the fastest rising conspiracy group on Facebook currently going around. And there's our website. I mean, the pinned post of our show of tonight, which is.
That's how you can see it. Whenever you want to know what is MnRTV Live Show, what are they about, or what's the next show? Well, it's simple. It's right here. Then all you got to do is just go here, and it'll bring you to the 12160, which is right there, you know. So that's exactly how it works. And we keep getting viewers. I'm not new. Well, we do keep getting new viewers.
But new members to the conspiracy.
New members, which potentially will become right, Rob?
Right.
Shall become viewers for us, our show, and we like having new viewers.
All the time, and we love the conspiracy talk. There's all kinds of information there about just about everything, and what we like is when people post stuff up, it makes it's like you guys are participating, and sometimes we use the information for it.
But like, you know what, I spend hours on this site, just on this alone on Facebook. I don't care about other stuff on Facebook. But this, I like to spend time and watch videos and you know, like read what people post, and then we have a lot of people, editors, shall we say, from beforeitsnews.com. Oh, now this is good. I haven't got the chance to read it, Rob, but I'm going to read that.
Yeah, it's well, I tried to get Paul Heller. I think his name is Paul. I tried to get him on the show last May, and I had to go through a whole bunch of bureaucracies to try and get him, and his secretary said, yeah, in May, and I totally forgot about it.
Oh, that sucks. We should get him in for the next season.
Next season, we'll try and get him. Remind me about it. I'll try contacting him again, because sometimes you have to contact people a couple of times before you can actually seal the deal and have him on the show. But we'll try, that's for sure.
I'm telling you, there's just so much to look at on this show. I mean, thank you people for viewing our show. Thank you people for actually participating in the conspiracy talk. You guys are the greatest. You know who,
keep it up. Keep it up, because we love having of information, people, because we're here to expose to people. We can't do it all, but with you guys, we can just continue exposing it and telling the truth.
And speak of right there, before it's news, an editor that, you know, posted something up, and so there's a lot of good stuff, but we can't spend the whole show looking at this. However, we are going to go into the news, right, Rob?
Go into the news, yes.
Okay, so how could we start the show without talking about this?
Israel agrees to 5-hour ceasefire to allow humanitarian aid into Gaza. Now this, I find it's sad. Like, on both sides, it's ridiculous what's going on. It's horrible, you know. When it's war, no matter where it is, it's not something that you want to even hear. I mean, how can you live in something like this when you never know if a bomb's gonna drop?
Well,
so,
Rob, it's simple. People ask me, whose side are you on? Hamas's side. Israel side? Whose side are you on? Me, I tell them as it is. Me, I'm on peace side. That's whose side I'm on, peace.
And there's no peace going on right now, so it just says there's going to be a ceasefire request, so the Palestinians can leave. But Israel said that if Hamas attacks, well, they will continue doing the bombings. And I feel nobody's winning in these situations. Neither is Israel, neither is Palestine. Everybody's losing, and people are losing lives, and people are just it's war. How can you win? The only people that profit from war is the Illuminati, who control both sides in
And
war.
you know the sad part? Also, there's a lot of Christians that are dying in this war. It's not just,
Yeah.
everybody is dying. A lot of people are dying. So we could only hope that there's peace in the Middle East. I don't care what people say. You guys don't like that I just said that. Well, too bad. I tell you it as it is. And there's all kinds of stats, but we're not going to go into the stats on who killed who and how many people died. I mean, you can Google that yourselves if you're interested, and just look into it. Well, actually, right here it says, I without me even, you see that?
Yeah, it's a 204. Wow, I remember it was at 190. And 1,450 wounded Palestine health officials.
Does it say how many Israelis died on here?
One man killed, with several injured.
Where, you see it?
Yeah.
Israel?
On the Israel side, one man was killed and several people were wounded since the fighting erupted July 8th. But you know that this, folks, is going to lead to World War III. It's been prophesied. That's all I've got to say about this situation right now.
Yeah, me too. I have nothing else to say. I mean, you know how I feel, and that's what counts, and that's it. So now we're going to go on and talk about some other stuff, right? How about if we talk about Yellowstone? Have you heard about what's happening in Yellowstone, Rob?
Is that something blowing up, I think, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. Parts of Yellowstone National Park closed after massive supervolcano beneath it melts roads.
Now this is from the 14th. When was the 14th?
Monday.
Someone posted this in the conspiracy talks. They said, this is like worth posting. You see, there's the road right here. And that's the volcano. Yeah, if something happens to this volcano, it's like catastrophe will happen.
How bad is this volcano? The super volcano.
Well, that's why it's called a super volcano. It's a super volcano for a reason. That's why they call it. Look, it says it right here.
The last time the super volcano beneath Yellowstone actually erupted was 640,000 years ago. U.S. Geology Survey record shows.
I want to know is
how
did they know it was that many years ago? Were they there?
No, they weren't.
So how did they know that it was 600?
Doesn't the Bible say we've been created in 6,000 years?
Yeah.
So this must have been before humans came.
That's a long time ago.
Well, God has no time. In His time, this could be a second.
Who knows?
We understand the reality.
But you know what, Rob? If ashes from this supervolcano goes up in the air, it's like practically a nuclear bomb going off. Because I remember when was it, 2 years ago, there was a volcano in Iceland or Greenland, one of those places. People can correct me if I'm wrong. And planes were not able to go around it. They had to stay in Europe. It affected the ashes. Were going to burn out the engines. So this is from Air Jetliner. So this is a catastrophe if this happens. Was it Iceland or Greenland?
I don't remember. I don't know.
I think it was Greenland. Yes, it was Greenland. Anyhow, so that's it with that. There's not much to say about that. Now we're going to move on. From what I remember, from what I know, Bigfoot. Nothing major, but
DNA analysis of hair sample shaves some Bigfoot credibility from Bigfoot tales. Legends of mysterious part-human creatures have circulated for centuries, and those stories persist today in cultures around the world, from Yeti in Himalayas to the Almas, or Wildman in Central Asia, to Sasquatch, aka Bigfoot. Now a research team has performed the first rigorous genetic analysis of 3 dozen hair samples that their collectors claim come from undiscovered living humanoids. Like everyone else, I was curious to know what was at the bottom of all the rumors and myths, said Brian Sykes, a professor of human genetics at the University of Oxford, which led the study. The samples, it turns out, belong to a range of creatures: raccoons, sheep, bears, dogs, humans, and more. Bigfoot, however, was not one of them. Sykes says his colleagues acquired 57 hair samples from museums and collections in the Himalayas, Russia, the United States, and Indonesia. After excluding 2 non-hair samples, the team selected 36 of the remaining ones for analysis. They thoroughly cleaned the hairs using forensic techniques and then sequenced mitochondrial DNA recovered from the hair shafts. Okay, so there we have it. You know, they say that there's no Bigfoot and everything, but is this true? Is this true, or are they hiding something? Because they don't want us to know that Bigfoot exists, if he does exist, or what it is.
I don't know. For me, it has to exist because they don't want us to know that it exists, but it does exist.
But what is it exactly? Is it a hybrid creature that travels through dimensions? Is it just like a creature from the prehistoric times that's just been living there and just been there since the primitive times? Is it a caveman? What is it? You know, I'd love to know what it is.
We all want to know what's up with Bigfoot.
But I think there's a connection between Bigfoots and UFOs. That's for sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Or maybe they just go through wormholes.
Portals, yeah. Like I just said before, they go through 2 dimensions through portals and stargates, or whatever you want to call them.
It'd be interesting to see
Maybe
what they're
one day we'll know.
doing. Next article, now we're going to be talking about a little bit about space.
United Emirates planned space agency 2012 March trip.
2021.
2021 March trip, yeah. Wow.
They want to go to Mars. I wonder who's going to give them money to go to Mars. It's all the oil that they get. The oil, the money from the oil.
I wonder if they'll see the monolithic structures on the moon. I mean on Mars, sorry.
I wonder if they'll probably be sent to somewhere where there isn't, or they'll be told to.
There's pyramids on Mars.
Yeah, we all know that, but they've been covered, or they'll probably be paid to shut up.
The United Arab Emirates, already home to the world's tallest tower, is now reaching for the stars. The energy-rich country on the eastern tip of the Arabian Peninsula announced plans Wednesday to establish a space program to send the first Arab spaceships to Mars in 2021. The ruler of the UAE's Emirate of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, said the mission will prove the Arab world is still capable of delivering scientific contributions to humanity despite the many conflicts across the Middle East. Well, time will tell what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, but this is just a classic example.
Into space, because apparently the United States wants to have the right to go to space, them and them only. They want to conquer space.
Well, yeah, they want to conquer everything, but the aliens won't allow them to conquer space because they want to conquer. They'll say space belongs to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at this. Several Muslim majority. Oops. I hate when that happens. Several Muslims majority nations such as Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt, Turkey, Indonesia,
Pakistan
already have space agencies or programs. This is all money from gas that they're getting, and it's giving them money to go to space.
if they're allowed to go to space.
Why wouldn't they be
The
allowed
United
to
States
go to
doesn't
space?
want them to go. They don't want nobody to go except them. But we'll see what's going to happen if they actually go to space or if they don't, you know?
Well, one thing's for sure. One thing's for sure. There will be taxis that will go to space, so maybe they'll be the taxi drivers.
That's funny, yeah. Speaking of...
They'll be the taxi drivers. You see this?
For the stars, step inside Boeing 6 CST-100 space taxi.
Yes, Robert, you're about to say, speaking of...
Yeah, speaking of taxis, there's a taxi article right there. Tony Castiglia wasn't even born when the space shuttle program began. Now the 27-year-old engineer is hoping to build its replacement. He'd also like to fly inside someday. All of us would, he said. Castiglia is working on the Boeing CST-100, which stands for Crew Space Transportation Vehicle. Its purpose is to ferry crew and cargo into lower Earth orbit. A prototype stands inside a facility in Houston, not far from Johnson Space Center. NASA has already paid the company $460 million to get this far, but Boeing won't know for another month if it will get any further. That's because Boeing is competing with SpaceX and Sierra Nevada Corp to building the space taxi wants to by 2017.
Now the question is where are they getting that millions, those millions? Who's giving NASA those millions? Is it our fellow Americans that are giving? I thought NASA had no more money. I thought the United States had no more money. That's a lot of money to be putting in space, don't you think?
They could feed people. And the needy, instead of going into space and colonizing space, they should look at what's going on on the Earth first. I guess they want to do space travel, just like in Star Trek.
Yeah, that's their dream.
Exactly.
It's just the rich that are going to be going there. It's not the poor. The poor are going to stay here on this planet. Hopefully they'll keep watching our show, the MnRTV Live Show.
Unless we get taken off the air by the elites.
Yeah, because they don't want us saying the truth.
No, they don't.
Okay. Still sticking to NASA, because we're just gonna hit the just a little bit about what NASA's up to, because we all want to know what NASA
scientists. Yeah, NASA scientists say they're closer than ever to finding life beyond Earth.
Now, why would they? Honestly,
article, because I read an article. They said within 20 years, NASA's we're gonna find human alien life.
And here it is. Unfortunately, they chose gray, not black, but I don't know if you can see it.
If you believe there may be extraterrestrial life somewhere in the immensity of the universe, here's some good news. Top NASA scientists agree with you. At a panel discussion on Monday, they said they were closer than ever to finding out for sure. Former astronaut and NASA administrator Charles Bolden set the tenor for the hour-long conversation about how NASA planned to look for life on other planets. In his introductory remarks, do we believe there is life beyond Earth, he asked. I would venture to say that most of my colleagues here today say it is improbable that in the limitless vastness of the universe we humans stand alone. He added that while he was in space back in 1990, he did not encounter any extraterrestrial life forms, but he did look for them really hard all the time. Well, they're getting us ready for something.
Yeah, that's the whole point of this article, is because they know already that there is something out there. They're just playing stupid now, and they think that we're stupid, but we know that
conditioning us slowly, like that. When they do appear on the world scene, they'll be able to manipulate us and lie about who they are and what they want and what they're really here for and what their ultimate goal is.
Kind of like the Transformer movie. I know I'm bringing that up again, but that's what it is. It's like aliens being put on this planet and they have to transform and with the next hold on, Rob, hold on. Okay, it's all yours. Speaking of space, still, we're gonna still stay in space.
will be spaced out. Buzz Aldrin describes his UFO encounter during Apollo 11. And this is fairly new, Tuesday, the 8th of July, 2014.
Well, it was last week, and I didn't post it last week, so I said I might as well post it this week, you know?
Exactly.
Because it hits home.
Yeah, it does. Astronaut Buzz Aldrin walked on the surface of the moon July 20th, 1969. Engineer, American astronaut, and the second person to walk on the moon during the Apollo 11 moon landing. Buzz Aldrin participated July 8th in a Reddit AMA for the promotion of the 45th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing, happening on July 20th. He touched on a sensitive topic, his apparent admission that he and other astronauts had seen a UFO during the Apollo 11 mission. This is an old favorite of internet conspiracy theorists, and sadly the Science Channel, who are convinced that Buzz Aldrin saw an alien ship of some kind during the Apollo 11 ride, and that he's been covering it up and hiding that he's a UFO believer. In an interview on the Science Channel in 2005, Apollo astronaut Buzz Aldrin said the crew of the famous Apollo 11 mission had seen a UFO on their way to the moon. However, later Aldrin would say that his words were taken out of context, of course, even though his story was supported on the program by senior Apollo 11 scientist Dr. David Baker. Aldrin also said he made other strange statements that some believe allude to Aldrin knowing more about an extraterrestrial presence in space than he would like to share. Yeah, so he did see stuff. They did see stuff. They saw like ships that were as big as cities, which they called motherships.
And these are all hiding, but you know what? People don't care. And this, by the way, it appeared. Look where I found it. Could you see it, Rob?
Yeah, Yahoo News.
Yeah.
Yahoo News. Yeah.
Oh, it appeared on Yahoo. Wow, when I saw this, I'm like, okay, this is something that I definitely have to post up on the conspiracy, on our show, and, you know, eventually on the conspiracy talk. But I was saying that I really have to, you know, get this out. And there's a video here.
Video.
Yeah, there's actually a video.
Yeah.
If you're interested in watching it, I will post it up on the on the description
of tonight's recording when it gets recorded after the show. So yes, he knows stuff that he doesn't want to say for whatever reason. Maybe he's being paid, or maybe he's being threatened. Who knows? But we know that the aliens did tell them, do not come back.
Now, speaking of aliens, this is more for the header. There's dozens of reporting of UFOs crossing Texas sky. Like, there's so much going on up in space that...
That's it. I'm going to have to go to investigate in Texas.
Yeah, like that. That's why I seen this and I posted. I mean, you don't have to read it.
No, of course not. But I know a few people that I can go see in Texas also. That would love to see me over there. Can you imagine me in Texas looking for UFOs? I could even go and see. I could even go and see and meet Alex Jones.
Yeah, that would be fun.
It would be. And did you know 2 days ago he talked about aliens on the show?
He never talked about aliens.
Yeah, because me who?
He never talks about aliens.
And me and Mr. Miller, we were exchanging information, and when I told him that, he couldn't, like, he was like, wow, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that. He was talking about aliens and stuff. So yeah, he was talking about aliens.
Now, more UFO sightings. We're just going to stick into UFOs for a little bit. Maybe this is what people have been seeing.
Very interesting.
I mean, you don't have to read it. People can see it for themselves. There's also a 1 minute and 2 seconds video. So there is a lot of activity out there. Are they coming towards us? Are they coming close to us? Do they want us to praise them like we're told all the time?
Exactly, and we don't want to do that. And here is.
Yeah, another thing that I want to point out, that they're actually
10,000-year-old rock paintings depicting aliens and UFOs found in Chattanooga.
There's the beautiful picture. I mean, you don't have to bother reading the article, but
and it's a 10,000-year-old UFO, and it's right in there.
Here we go. Here's the aliens that they saw. The people.
And look at the first one. That looks like almost like a gray or something.
This is a guy, Rob.
Not him. In the picture, the first one.
Ah, here.
On the right, in the picture, the aliens.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
left,
this one.
the left, the first one on, yeah, right there. That one looks like. Look, you see the eyes?
Yeah, it's a gray.
You
So
tell.
these things have existed way before because it's simple. They are fallen angels. So angels rebelled way before man did. So
Exactly. So of course.
there's
And back then they weren't seen as aliens, they were seen as gods, and they had like these tribes that thought they were gods from the sky.
and there's the more pictures that show. I mean,
Right there, look at that one.
it's in India.
India.
Yeah.
Right there, so you can see it, folks. That right there, there's the alien right there, and it's been done many years ago, 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, so they knew about it 10,000 years ago. So what does that tell
It
you?
doesn't make sense. Was there humans 10,000 years ago?
Lies don't make sense. That's one thing we have to realize. When people lie, it doesn't make sense. Now, this is something we spoke about. Hold on. We're just going to be moving a little bit because time is running short. You know,
Well, Edward Spencer, 8:15. Okay, world's biggest sinkhole baffles scientists, sparking rumors of a crashed UFO site. Wasn't this in a conspiracy talk?
I don't know if it was, but I just came across it. It's yesterday's news.
Yeah, I saw it. I think it's a conspiracy. Giant sinkhole at end of world. A mysterious gigantic sinkhole has appeared in Russia, and nobody knows where it came or how deep it is. It opened up the peninsula of Yamal, a place which locals call the end of the world. At 80 meters wide, the sinkhole is believed to be the biggest ever spotted in the country and could be one of the deepest ever recorded in the world. Speculation of what has caused the phenomenon includes rumors of a crashed UFO, a meteorite hitting the Earth, global warming, or a sinkhole caused by collapsing rock.
How deep is that?
What could be in there? If you go all the way down there, could you reach the hollow Earth?
Who knows? But I don't think it's that deep, Rob.
Well, because you know what we'll do? We're gonna go on a vacation. We're gonna go there. I'm gonna jump in there with parachutes, or we'll try and fly in there with a plane.
And there's the storm that happened in Russia, but we won't go into that. I mean,
But we should go investigate. We have to go investigate in there. Doesn't it sound fun going in a mysterious hole?
I would love that.
There's no guarantee we'll come back.
I really would love that. Now, Rob, the next thing, it's like times are really sad when a social robot for the home. You know that times are very sad, right?
Cynthia Brazil unveils a Jibo, a social robot. What is that?
I don't know. I guess you gotta socialize with a robot.
Who's the robot? The lady?
No, this thing.
Oh, the little thing. And who's the lady? She invented that?
Probably Cynthia Brazil, whatever.
Oh, okay. I thought that this lady was gonna be like a robot that you could talk to from your Android.
Right there, that.
Yeah. Imagine you have to talk to that because you have no one else to talk to.
That's what I'm saying. Times are very sad when you have to turn to.
Well, there are some people that are lonely, have no one to talk to. So I guess that's better than nothing.
But there's a video associated with this, so you can go and check it out. Oh, Jibo is powered by an ARM processor and runs Linux. Beautiful, nice, right there. It's a winner.
So this lady they designed it, eh?
Yeah.
Very good. We should get her on the show.
Linux.
We should try and get her on the show.
Yeah. Who knows for the next season?
Exactly, for next season of our show.
Hold on now. I'm just gonna pitch out the next article.
And it's coming up very soon.
Rob, hold on. And here it is.
Domo Argretto, Mr. Roboto, Japan's robot revolution.
So they made a robot, and there's a video that you can actually see a robot. Rob, it walks, it does everything. So bad I can't play the video.
I know. How
But
review? Yeah, go on.
no, I mean,
So, how we view robots and the inevitable robotics revolution has been promised for so long depend largely on our background. For me, as an American, robots will be inherently linked with Star Wars as a kid, but later with the unstoppable android that was the Terminator. Okay, but he looks robotic. He doesn't look like an android like the Terminator.
no, he looks like that, the plastic. You see him. Here's more videos
I see, I
on the
see.
side there.
It's a Honda developed android.
Yeah.
So,
So maybe they might steal the robot for the parts. How about that?
exactly. That'll be it. It's because they always steal cars, you know, from Honda. So maybe they'll steal that too.
They'll have to put an alarm on it. That's
Exactly.
what they're gonna have to do.
You know how those products work. They always steal Honda, one of the most common stolen cars, but if
Now
they steal the
sticking
robot,
again to more robots, we're gonna stick another bit more to robots. This is the header. You see this?
I see. Robots can be squishy too. This one even shapeshifts. This
So they make
technology.
robots that shapeshift now.
Exactly. Yeah, but they look small.
I know, but they look like toys.
What toys? A shape-shifting robot has been invented by MIT scientists. It can switch between soft and hard states and was developed to fit in tight spaces and heal itself. It can heal itself when we can't even heal ourselves.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? It's like Transformers. They can shapeshift. It's all that, man.
Shapeshifts, yeah, shapeshift. And we hear that humans can shapeshift also.
If the robots can, I'm sure that there are entities here on this planet that can shapeshift.
Well, for sure.
So this is the article. I don't know if you can point again, 3D printing. And why are people so fascinated with 3D printing?
Because you could create all kinds of stuff with 3D printing.
Ah, man. What can I tell you? I don't know. Should we call Trish or?
You got anything up?
Well, I do, but the thing is we're running short. So.
Well, I don't know. We have about 3 minutes.
Are we?
Yeah. Before we take the break and then get Dr. Spencer on.
Oh, so should we call Trish then?
After this article.
Well, you see it, eh? It looks good, eh?
Which yes it does. Which spices protect against DNA damage?
Now this is a long one, Rob. That's why I didn't want to put it. But since
yeah, well, no, we're just gonna go fast through it. We got exactly 2 minutes. In my post, which I profile a landmark study that compared the ability of different spices to suppress inflammation. The study also compared the spice's ability to protect DNA. Clove, ginger, rosemary, turmeric were able to significantly stifle the inflammatory response, but can they also protect DNA? And over here it says about 7% of our cells may evidence of DNA damage, actual breakdown in the strands of DNA. So with ginger and these spices over here, you can actually protect the DNA. Very interesting.
And rosemary, you know, rosemary is something very good. Eh? I eat that. I love eating rosemary.
Oh, so then you're protecting your DNA.
It smells nice, rosemary. Did you ever smell it? It smells very nice.
I don't know if I did. Maybe I did without knowing. And here, well, we're not going to get into it. It just talks about ginger and all of that. And
very good for you. I mean, there's ways of healing DNAs. It's all out there in the fields, in the gardens. And you know who's the best at this? Indians, natives. Natives know about that because they know the land. So if there's anything, natives are very important.
It's a lot better than taking pills and big pharmas and vaccines, you know. But
so Trish Rob is like,
yeah, and
hey, hold on, Trish, hold on. We're gonna do it. I'm sorry, Rob, man. I'm sorry, people, but Trish is like
Yeah.
God.
So don't you guys go away because we're gonna have Dr. Edward Spencer after the break.
All right, so here's Trish.
I will be right back. So do not go anywhere.
Yes, stay tuned.
The best is yet to
Honorable
come.
Mayor and Berkeley City Council members. My name is Edward Spencer, MD. I have practiced neurology in Northern California for more than 30 years. I am speaking tonight on the issue of health and nanotechnology. A very strange disorder named Morgellons disease is among us, and the worldwide number of cases is approaching 20,000 with major clusters in the Bay Area and Southern California. There now exists strong data indicating that this disorder is associated with nanotechnology, specifically nanomachines in the form of nanofibers. The National Science Foundation, NSF, defines nanofibers as having at least one dimension of 100 nanometer, nm, or less. So-called Morgellons disorder presents as brain fog, fatigue, and other neurological symptoms. It is associated with the presence of tiny fibers protruding from the skin, intense itching, the possible appearance of ulcerative lesions ringed by a raised crater rim, and other strange lesions. The fibers have been widely observed to move. There is no satisfactory treatment. Physicians and dermatologists are unfamiliar with this chronic disabling disorder and tend to ignore it. Patients become labeled as having delusions of parasitosis, and this psychiatric diagnosis is stuck to the patients by dermatologists who have not examined the skin under magnification, and who have not completed the extensive evaluation necessary to exclude all parasitic skin disorders before making a psychiatric diagnosis. Pictures of the fibers are provided in the packet, and I will direct your attention to the blue fiber with the gold tip. This was removed from a patient. This fiber did not burn until it has been heated to 1700 degrees Fahrenheit. Compare that with hair, which is easily burned, producing a characteristic odor and has a cellular structure. The fibers are shed regularly, and some grow to long lengths, indicating fiber production in the human body. Dr. John Ovey has stated of this blue fiber, it has no eukaryotic cells, it has no cell membrane, it is not a parasite, it is not biological, it is a machine. Web article. Gold nano anchors put nanowires in their place as APP and DED HTTP. www.nist.gov public gave. For 1110 HTM also included are microphotographs by drive. Hildegard Steininger of a blue Morgellons fiber removed from a patient. Note the similarity of structure. There is evidence that Morgellons disorder, S, is carried by insect vectors, as some type of bug bite frequently precedes the onset of the disorder, S. The agent, S, producing Morgellons are in the sewer systems. Also included are photomicrographs of very strange skin lesions. Morgellons appears almost biblical in its characteristics, like something described in Exodus. Dr. Randy Warmore of the University of Oklahoma sent fibers to the FBI. No matching fibers were found in the FBI forensic database. A contact in naval intelligence has recommended looking into smart dust specks and field arrays. The National Register of Environmental Professionals has assigned a task force to look into environmental causes behind Morgellons disorder. I ask the Berkeley City Council to request that the University of California devote its considerable intellectual and technical resources to studying these nanofibers and this disease. Under the wise guidance of Wall Street and insurance companies, American medicine had fallen into an amazing state of degeneracy. Medical care is unavailable for many, access is limited for most, and research money is frequently unavailable except from major drug companies. Using technical terms, American medicine is in the toilet. The response of the CDC has been lethargic to the point of being alarming. A simple electronic microscope such as you see here allows inspection of the skin at 50x to 400x and allows the clinician to document the existence of fibers. Eyeballs at 2 feet won't do it, and simple equipment like this should be available in the UC clinics. And, of course, we need methods of treatment. This concludes my brief bedtime story. I will be pleased to provide further information as it becomes available. Respectfully, Ed Spencer, MD. Morgellon Fallon Garter Posts. To joined. Fry, October 27, 2006, 3:44 am.
Thank you, Trish. Nothing beats hearing your beautiful voice. You know, I mean, this is what makes also the show. Eh? Next to the great information, hearing your beautiful voice just hits home. Yeah, Rob, welcome back. Welcome back, everybody.
Exactly, exactly. Well, what a show we've got tonight. We're going to have Dr. Edward Spencer very soon. I'm going to call him up, and he's a neurology doctor, MD, and he's now retired. And we're going to be talking about hidden powers, world turmoil, and a hidden race called Homo Capensis. That's how you say it. But Mario, I'm going to try and get him on now. So are you ready, Mario?
I'm always ready. Being ready is my second name.
All right, so I'm going to call him up now and see what happens.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, Robert.
Hi, Dr. Edward Spencer. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Welcome to the MnR show. And Mario, my partner, say hi to Dr. Edward Spencer.
Hello, Dr. Edward Spencer. Welcome to the show.
Today, can you repeat it?
Mario.
Mario, good. Okay.
So, Dr. Spencer, I'm glad to have you on the show. It's an honor. And my viewers were really looking forward to having you on the show tonight. Like all week, I've been talking about it. And so, where would you like to begin? Would you like to tell us who you are and what's been going on?
Well, I'll just give a brief...
a brief description. Sure.
There.
Go ahead.
I graduated from Stanford University. I was a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry. I graduated from Yale Medical School. I took a residency in neurology at the University of California in San Francisco and practiced neurology as in private practice up in Sonoma County. For a number of years, I've been interested in what might be called off the beaten path knowledge, which actually should be mainstream knowledge. And I became interested in really how the world works, began to actually pursue it in about 1996 after I saw a frontline program on the Shakespeare authorship question. Who was Shakespeare? The next I saw a JFK movie and studied that intensely as I studied Shakespeare authorship question, and went on from there and essentially turned semi-pro in 9/11/2001. And I've been trying to find out how the world works, where the center of power is, and how does it flow down. And I have put together a structure, a framework which is holding up and has been accurate in making predictions. So that's where I am right now.
I see. I could imagine. And you made a certain discoveries about Morgellons diseases, right?
Morgellons disease?
Yes.
I did work on Morgellons disease. I don't think that I've made any discovery, but I've been in contact with people who've done a lot of work, including Hildegard Staninger and Jan Smith out in New Hampshire. Morgellons is a nasty problem. It is very nasty. And the major discovery I made regarding Morgellons is that establishment medicine doesn't want to have anything to do with it.
Why is that? Why don't they not want to have anything to do with it?
I can't actually answer that. I think the question will be answered when one can communicate with the people who don't show any interest now. In general, the professions, the establishment follows a track, a pathway. They tend not to deviate. It's sort of like you don't do too well financially. If you do deviate, you don't get promoted. I mean, I even tried to contact a Nobel Prize laureate that I had helped, not intellectually, but by sending a patient to him for whom something went to autopsy, and then brain was useful in his work, but I never heard back from him. And in general, the medical profession is stodgy, it's stuck, and it doesn't look at what has happened and what can happen. And I'll give an example of this. This is almost the example I use is the Royal Raymond Rife, who, this is close to 80 years ago, worked in Pasadena.
Okay.
He had been very helpful in with Mr. Timko ball bearing in analyzing the steel and saved them a tremendous amount of money. As a result of that, Timko financed his activities, and he developed methods to treat bacterial infections, other disorders with frequency. The Rife technology, the mortal oscillatory rate he would establish. And to go beyond that, he developed a microscope, funny looking thing. It had about 4 legs on it, but he was designed so the light beams did not cross, so there was no interference, and I believe it had glycerin in it instead of air. And this was a light microscope, and it went down to electron microscopy degrees of magnification. But you could actually take movies through it, and you could see the bacteria exploding. Well, after Rife had applied the frequency through the Rife technology that he had achieved. Now, this is the interesting part in this. Well, all of it is interesting. Because I never heard of this in college. I never heard of it in medical school. I never heard of it in residence. Didn't hear of it until I was out in the bushes, beating around, seeing what was going on. And Rife was very highly in Pasadena, and they had they prepared a banquet for him. The name of the banquet was in honor of the end of all disease. But what happened to Rife is that the MnRTV and the government came after him. They sort of harassed him. They had him in court all the time, testifying, and that was not the way his mind worked. And then he developed a problem with alcohol. As a result of that, his equipment had been sent to England, which would probably have taken up the quest, but World War II intervened. So this technology just went away. People had machines, but federal marshals would come to the door, and want the machine. So that says something about the status of medicine at this point. Also, I ran afoul of the medical board in California, and they're all the same because I challenged vaccination. They said we should learn more about vaccinations. We should vaccinate everybody all the time. And that was prompted by the European swine flu scandal. And I can't give you the year on this. It was 5 years back.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
And they sent 70 kilograms of vaccine to an Eastern European country. I think it was Czech Republic, and it was destined to go in Slovenia and maybe Eastern Germany, Austria at that point. Some technician, for reasons unknown, so I hope he was tipped off, decided to test the vaccine in hamsters, and he put the vaccine into hamsters, and they all died. So when they looked into the vaccine, they found that it had bird flu in it. I think it was live bird flu, and bird flu is very fatal, or rather tends to be lethal, but it's not infectious at all. And they also had in there the ordinary seasonal flu, 2 flus in this vaccination. So if that had gone into Eastern Europe, there would have been, everybody would have been an incubator with these mixtures of flus, and who knows what would have come with that. The other thing that I learned at that point was that the pathway of litigation had been closed off totally. Anyone who had anything to do with vaccinating the populace is exempt from litigation. That includes the nurses, the doctors, the hospitals, the manufacturers, the government, you name it. So vaccinations are there. We're told that they're absolutely safe, but they're not. And I really don't know enough about vaccinations, but I do know that it's accepted at this point, and that it's just loaded with lies. So that was one thing that I learned. That's medicine at that point. So along the line, this is what I have encountered. But then I was studying hidden power in 1996.
Okay.
And I persisted in going from one expert to the other, one book to the next, and developing this pattern. And I finally invited Eustace Mullins, the great author, to come out to California. I brought him out to California. He'd written something, I don't know where it was online. It said The Contract Murder of Eustace Mullins by Eustace Mullins. That got my attention. And so we brought him out to California, and I learned quite a lot from him, not as much as I should have, and I certainly wish he was available now, but because he died in about 2010, and I think he may have been murdered because he'd been kidnapped about 14 months before that time. But Eustace made it clear that in his book, Mullins' New History of the Jews, that the Jewish people have been contaminated by something, some segment, some hidden segment lurking amongst in the Jewish nation, had been responsible for bringing down Babylon, Persia, Greece, Egypt, and Rome. And of course, one is always accused of being an anti-Semitic if one talks about anything like that. But what I did learn was that you have to go
ahead,
knowledge.
Yeah, go ahead.
You have to just persist. Even if you walk through somebody's flower bed, you just have to persist in following the trails. And it's clear that a lot of stuff, anti-Semitism is one of them, all manner of stuff, is just there to prevent you from looking. Anyway, as I went along, I encountered, this was probably around 2010, a book. It came through Graham Hancock, who's done a lot of great work on this. It was Underworld, it's a book that he wrote, which I think is I highly recommend, and also a pair of glasses because it's in tiny print.
Okay.
But the book that it really referred me to there was Charles Hapgood, Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings. And from this, one learned that the entire Earth had been mapped during the Ice Age, the whole thing.
Who mapped it?
They have maps of Antarctica, and there's no ice cap over the coastline between Maryland and the coast of Antarctica. The sea level was approximately 400 feet lower at that time because of the glaciers over North America and Europe. And so you see things on some of these ancient maps, like the Alaskan Siberian land mass. There are islands that are gone now that were there in these ancient maps. The ancient maps have come down probably through copying. I don't know if anyone has an original at all there. Piri Reis is the Turkish admiral who found a lot of these maps, and actually the maps were brought to Washington, D.C. as a gift by, I believe, a Turkish admiral. And so, they had maps of Antarctica. We didn't discover Antarctica until 1818. There are maps of Antarctica in these ancient maps, which had been discovered on the order of 1531 and are clearly very much older. And what was interesting with Hapgood that he had friends and contacts in the United States Air Force in the reconnaissance division, I think if I've got it right, who looked at these maps. And Colonel Obermeyer wrote a letter. Commander Obermeyer wrote a letter, saying that the coast of Antarctica conformed to what the Swedish English expedition of about 1949 had discovered. They used modern sounding equipment to establish the coast, and so the coast that's in these maps is the coast. And of course, but how did this come about? How did something put together on the order of years ago come to us? Because we never heard anything about it. There's also then underwater megalithic structures all around the world. I think Yamagumi in Japan in Okinawa was the first found, and these are now submerged. So this gave a clue in terms of time. That we sort of start time, biblically on the order of 6,000 years ago.
Yeah,
on that order.
Exactly.
But obviously there was a lot going on before that, and one of the things that one becomes then very suspect of is the Bible. The library that is the Bible, and the thing that immediately caught my attention was Noah's flood. Very interesting story, and it says, this is when it began. You don't need to look back before this. But about on the order of 17,000 years ago, when the Ice Age ended, all of the glaciers began to melt, and the Earth went through an incredible upheaval during, I think, the 10,000 years of the glacial meltdown. And there was a period of a brief ice age, Younger Dryas, in the middle of all of that. But if your listeners would look up scab lands in Washington State and Lake Missoula, they'll read about what happened up there. And what happened up there was that there was an ice lake in eastern Washington, and east of that, that was dammed up by ice because it was on the glaciers. And the failures of the ice dams occurred, I think, quite frequently, maybe 40 times altogether. And when this happened, 500 cubic miles of water rushed out of this lake and down over the Columbia River Gorge in the course of 48 hours. So that's a lot of water.
It is.
And of course, there were other ice lakes that were breaking up and flooding around. So Plato wrote about this in Critias. I can't get my terminology. I think he's quoting Solon that in Greece, the rich people, the intellectuals who lived by the sea died because the floods came up from the ocean, which is consistent with tsunamis and 500 cubic miles of water dropping in someplace. And that the only survivors were rude shepherds up in the mountains. Can you hear the kid crying, or is that?
I hear a little thing.
Pardon?
I hear just a little faintly. I hear something.
Okay, I'll just move on. So that's when the time scale was apparent that there was time for a lot of stuff to be imposed on mankind from the Ice Age, or from that time scale.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and move. Maybe that's a bit better.
Yeah, it is.
I'm running on battery. I've been, working on this for a period of time, and so I did some writing at this point. Who controls the world? And I put together everything that I knew. Also wrote the planned accelerating destruction of Western civilization.
Okay.
But of course, it's all civilizations that are under attack. Everything human is under attack. And then the next book that I encountered, the next bit of information, was the book Big Brain by professors, Gary Lynch and Richard Granger, PhDs in neuroscience. And this book was sort of based around Homo Capensis.
Yes, yes.
And we're finally to Homo Capensis.
Yes, because last week I had Karen Hudges on, and she didn't want to talk about it, and she referred us to have you on our show to talk about these beings.
Okay, Dave. So this fragments of the skull were discovered in Boskop, South Africa, in the order of 1913. Fortunately, they were taken to a museum. The importance recognized. British paleontology became involved. Everybody was tremendously excited because Homo Capensis had a human face, a big jaw with large teeth, especially canines and incisors, and a head that was about 30% larger. Brain capacity that was on the order of 30% larger than us. And so he'd obviously been alive. Something with that kind of a brain had walked the earth in southern Africa. And Lynch and Granger did a calculation of a rough estimation of the IQ of Homo Capensis. And the way they did this, they said, well, the brain is 30% larger, so they made a rough calculation for increase in the size of the association areas. So they came up with an average IQ of 149, with 10 to 15% of the population at 180 or more. So immediately you think, well, this might be the fellow who mapped the Earth and built all those megalithic structures. And fortunately, a paleontologist, a renowned paleontologist by the name of Robert Broom, got hold of this. I think he went to South Africa and wrote a paper on this, and said this was another species, and gave a name to this being as Homo Capensis. So there's a very substantial academic work describing Homo Capensis, and that's interesting because it's suppressed. You try and find it in the books, and you can't. I have the original paper. I have a copy of the original paper. I may have sent it to you. Pardon?
Yeah, please do send it to me. I'm very interested in knowing this. Are these beings still in existence now?
Well, the question, the answer to that is I'm not certain.
Okay.
But they may be, because when Karen began writing about this, all sorts of stuff came in, including quite possibly emails from these beings.
Really?
Yeah, and there, as an observation, a friend in Japan, when hearing about this, I reported, well, she'd seen individuals with very large heads in Cairo. And then I heard about this in Portugal and in Africa. And, we've gotten emails, haven't been able to document it and go, to do things one would like to do them. But there's no doubt about it, a lot of information came in, and it's reasonable, and that it would seem to me the way I would think that these beings would turn out. In other words, that they would have a significant mathematical ability, but they didn't seem to be very artistic. And the reason I say this is because of Adam's calendar and the huge ruins of civilization in South Africa, Mount Pulaga, I think. I have trouble getting the word out. Anyway, there are maybe 100,000 stone silos there. No windows, no doors. There's evidence of fields, gold mines, and these silos, the explanation that was given by Michael Tellergiant, really have a very happy that he did this work and produced these beautiful books, which I really recommend looking at. But the thing of the Anunnaki coming down and building these as energy systems is not probable, in my opinion. I think it's more likely that these cylinders of these silos plastered over with mud would make very good pins for two-legged chattel. A ladder up and then a ladder down, and then you pull the inner ladder out during the night. It's hard to know what else you would do with these things, but maybe somebody else could kind of think of something. And the gold mines are, primitive gold mines. Going down. The interesting thing is, how we go after gold. And, up in the gold country in California, every stone is upside down and they rip right at it. Well, these gold mines seem to be left alone in this area where of the ancient civilization, and it's not been studied. It seems to be off limits. And Adam's calendar is this collection of stones that would seem to show the solstice and also the pattern of Orion's belt on the order of 75,000 years ago. And it's kind of remarkable, but the stones are very crude. The artistic ability of this was essentially nil, it seems to me. But yet they got the math right. They also report that there's a pyramid a small pyramid down in this area that is on the same longitude as the Great Pyramid in Giza. So that would be a link. So then we have an example of how the Earth could have been mapped, that there was an enormous intelligence there, or at least mathematical ability. And then we also see this mathematical ability in Adam's calendar. And then we have all of these stone structure in southern Africa. All of this is ignored by establishment archaeology.
They don't want us to know. They don't want us to know what it is, right?
Well, it's hard to know what they're thinking. I don't know. The people who don't. I mean, I have actually been blocked in trying to contact and work with people, and I don't know their motivations. I do know that probably if they will, not be promoted and will not get grants and things like. But you haven't really talked to anyone in detail and say, why don't you go there? Why do you? Why can't you pursue this information? So that's where I was with Homo Capensis. It looked like it had an explanation for the maps and these underwater megalithic structures. Then the question of the power structure. Why is the world such a mess? And I think almost everybody would agree that it is a complete mess.
Yes, it's getting worse and worse every day.
Right, and I think I don't think there's any end, frankly. I think the total destruction of Homo sapiens, humanity, is what is planned. And I don't mean that we're totally extinct, but we would be mind controlled by chips, dumbing down, oppression of every sort. We would just cut down to 500,000. That's in the Georgia Guidestones. We would be not what we are. We have no potential, no nothing. And then you can look around. That's the way we're going. No knowledge, no hope, no possibility of advancement. So, and then this is described in pretty well in statements by Carl Jaspers and JFK and J. Edgar Hoover. And so those three statements, and also then Wilson talks about that there's something that the men in industry are afraid of, something they may dare not raise their speech above their breath when they criticize it. Kennedy used the word conspiracy, vast conspiracy.
Yes.
And the whole word. I think you have that. And
I do.
And then, pardon?
I do. He talked about a monolithic structure, a monolithic group that controlled the world, a secret society. You know, there's the Kennedy speech about the New World Order.
Right, and then J. Edgar Hoover said that the American population was hobbled by not being able to conceive of such an evil that could be perpetrated by human beings. And now then the thing is, well, maybe this is not perpetrated by a human being, because we know that the Homo Capensis and the large monoparietal plate cone head are here. We've seen their skulls all over the place, and they just recently discovered some.
Are these beings like Nephilims?
Pardon?
Are they Nephilims?
Well, I think that's a term that came out of the Bible, and I think a lot of stuff has been written all along the way. Nephilim, Anunnaki, and other things. There's the whole UFO and ET genre is all to screen what's really going on. What's really here are crypto-terrestrials, I think you would call them. They've been here a long time. There's definite evidence that they controlled Homo sapiens. They were during the Ice Age. This is from burial situations in which human skeletons are thrown into the ground, and there's an elaborate tomb for the guy with the big head. And there's this information is in South Africa. It's covered in Big Brain, and also in Brian Foster's work. He does tremendous work, Brian Foster. He's just great. And these, the big cone heads have not been studied. The DNA has not been studied, except, what Foster's tried to raise the money in doing. I sent a letter to Oxford Genetics, and never heard anything back. And some of the skulls there in Ica, Peru have fragments of skin and auburn red hair on these giant skulls. And they're very heavy, and they have huge brains. And of course, I don't have any report of these being seen. The type of individual with a large head, I would say, is closer to Homo Capensis. But of course, I don't know. But you look at the skulls and the heads, and they're very much like Akhenaten's daughters. There's a number of images of that around. You look at that, and it's like, wow, it's a pretty face on a blimp. I've never seen anybody like that. And of course, then there's also the molding of skulls. That's been done by normal human beings. I suspect it's because the people in power did have sort of swept back skulls. I think this was done to make it more, it's a fashion. I don't know how to put it. If you have this Homo Capensis has got this big pumpkin on his shoulders, and you sweep the skull back, it's a little bit more elegant.
Yeah.
And apparently a lot of them are refined, and there's an incredible website. This is in my letter to the Brian Sykes, the geneticist, and this website had tremendous amount of information on skulls found around the world. And unfortunately, I didn't download it because it's no longer there, which is, direct evidence. We're all interested in this now, so the website goes away. So that's that situation. And the question would be, if they're here and if they're running things, how do they do it precisely?
Are they evil? Are they giants?
Pardon?
Are they evil and are they giants?
Well, I think that they are devoid of ethics. They're devoid of empathy. I don't think they have a conscience, not exactly directed to us.
But what are they? Are they different species? Are they how can I say this? Biblical? Are they extraterrestrial? Are they? I don't know.
No, I don't think they're extraterrestrial. I think they've always been here, and they've always been hiding, certainly since the Ice Age.
So
they went underground.
So who are these gods that ancient? So I would think that, like, aren't they the ancient gods that tribes in the ancient world would be worshiping?
I don't think you would get into that. I think that if our brains are just full of garbage. So much stuff has been stuffed into our heads that it doesn't work. So I think you have to be very careful with Anunnaki, Nephilim, demons in general, religious stuff. Because our brains have been filled up with stuff just to keep us from thinking. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day to think. So many neurons, and if you spend all your time looking at the sky for the extraterrestrials and the UFO, you have trouble looking on what's sneaking up on you from under your feet, right behind you.
From below.
So this is actually, it becomes sort of simple. There's another species here that dominated us during the Ice Age for sure, and seems to have gone underground during the glacial meltdown, or at approximately that time. And I can believe that it's because the humanity is a little bit dangerous, becoming increasingly dangerous, that I think the civilization, and this is just my speculation, really, we began in this cauldron and crucible in southern Africa. It wasn't South Africa, but southern Africa. And that the characteristics which are, we almost define human, which is, the ability to love, have a conscience, empathy, and an ethical base, would have helped, I think, our precursors, our humans, survive in that environment. Because, this stuff is not in the bone. You don't really find whether the person had a conscience or not, from the skull fragment. But, and if you look then at what the world is, everything is done to attack honesty, to attack ethics, to attack love, to attack anything that's worthwhile. Money has been substituted for everything, so you have numerical value for whatever you're doing. Whereas it's quite obvious that the things that are most valuable to us are not money, when you really come right down to it. I mean, that's hard because we don't have enough money, so our thoughts are clouded by that continual concern. But also money does seem to just grab the brain and take it away from people. And especially then if somebody is quite rich, then they're spending a tremendous amount of their energy in getting more money and protecting the money that they have. And so they can't really go into philosophy the way they probably should. I think that definitely the way they should, considering the way the world is not. We're going now. I would like to see the very bright people who have managed to amass a fortune start looking at philosophy and what we should do. Because, Microsoft and all of this, it just doesn't, you don't hear about ethics
No, you don't.
In fact, and I think it's all a distraction. I think all the stuff is a distraction. And the techno nerds that are building the weapons that are going to destroy them. And actually, I think they're building weapons, and they're very sophisticated. I'm sure I don't even know what they're doing. That essentially is destroying their own gun ends. The whole Earth, the whole humanity has been organized into a self-destructive mass. Kind of rolling down the hill towards the abyss. And it's like everybody has been put together to function not as well as they should. And some really, really poorly, sometimes really poorly, but nobody, we're all in it together, and we're all not functioning the way we should. We're not philosophical enough. We're not sitting around in groups, men and women, and I think both sexes have to be about, and discussing philosophy in the way the world is, and what's going on. I mean, it's all taken up by the television, which of course is designed to kill.
Yeah.
To kill the brain and then the rest of it. And, and fluoride, and then we're just soaked in radiation, electromagnetic radiation, which is not so good for us. Also, I have to say something about, mind control technology and targeted individuals.
And weather modification.
And weather modification, right? I'm in California. I wonder if it's going to be here in 2 years. And let's see, the sources on the remote influencing technologies. If one goes to ICAACT.org and looks up Lars Dugard, has a very brilliant video talking about the history of remote influencing technologies, and they're incredible. This is the military technology that's come along, and we don't know anything about it. The ordinary people know nothing. And also, but we are told to say it's not true. We're told to say that anyone who hears voices in their head, and there's a microwave auditory effect, voice to skull, which is essentially ancient. It was developed in the last century. I think maybe 1970 was one of the papers I've seen. And of course, you can imagine how far that's come in this time. And then you have a lot of the abduction stories. I think that this is probably EEG heterodyne. That this is an experiences that are being stuck to people's head electronically. That makes more sense than any other explanation.
But people that hear voices, aren't they have a mental illness that's schizophrenia?
No, you can't diagnose schizophrenia by voices because anyone can be made to hear voices in their head.
Okay.
By this voice-to-skull technology. I mean, it can happen to anyone. But of course, then when you go see the doctor, see the psychiatrist, they stick a diagnosis on you. And I'm working with people that hopefully we can figure out ways to alert the medical community about this problem, about the problem of remote influencing, remote attack, voice-to-skull technology.
And who's doing this, and why?
Well, that's a question I can't really answer, because I don't know. Well, why, as I can say, is, it's like everything else, we're under attack.
Right.
And it's part of the attack. And your whistleblowers can be tortured. It can distract people from thinking because, if you hear this stuff, if you're involved with it, then you're considered crazy. And people can then just crank up the denial about other things, or if something happens to them, they don't want to be like the crazies who are really not crazy, so they don't say anything. So it's sort of a scalpel applied conspiracy of silence. Those who are in it know what it's like, but those that are out, you know, just point fingers at the other. But the numbers of people who can hear voices is increasing significantly. There's lots of people who are targeted in some way, and it goes on and on. There's, you know, heart attacks, arrhythmias, probably emotional things that can happen. The brain has no firewall. It's just this thing, neurologists would call it the squash, sitting up there in its skull, you know, and it really needs a Faraday cage around it at this stage of where we are, because we don't have any protection, any intrinsic protection against the electromagnetic radiation that's being pumped into us. And that's kind of the situation that I see it. And the great failure, of course, is the human mind. And it almost looks like the smarter somebody is, the more easily is he bamboozled. Because you can see all of the distractions that can be laid before him. The jets, the fame, you know.
Yeah.
The villas, the competition, and so, and unless you're struggling, you're actually thinking about philosophy, unless you're actually trying to make a conscious effort to understand the world, it's very hard, because also, you know, all the information is hidden. And of course, our great enemy is always the fourth estate, the press, the media. It never tells us anything, or tells us. One should never forget that for a minute.
It's controlled media. They just put out what they're told to do, and it's all half of it's garbage.
Right, and it's obvious that, you know, if you have a job, if you want to keep your job, you do it. If you want to lose your job, and you know, a lot of the people who are really putting information out have lost their jobs. You know, they're working independently. So I think people need to understand. I didn't say anything about psychopaths. This is a major issue here.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a book called Panorology by Andrew Lobachevsky. Crank that one out. But you go online and look up Panorology, P-O-N-E-R-O-L-O-G-Y. You'll see this is a science of the study of evil adjusted for political purposes. And this points out the Poles did this work initially. They said that, well, they had written this, that none of them were working, and they had a manuscript, and they were tipped off that the police were coming, so they threw it in the furnace. You know, this is before the day of electronic transmission. And so then the second one they sent to the Vatican, the second manuscript they sent to the Vatican, and that was never seen again. But we're ruled by psychopaths. And if you look at the people up there in the Oval Office, number 10 Downing, all over the place, they really fit the characteristics of someone who does not tell the truth, someone who does not have empathy and ethics and compassion.
Psychopaths, sociopaths, people with no emotion.
Sociopaths. And this is just something that really needs to be studied intensely. These character disorders, because this is, you know, totally anti-human. This is, the human being is not, you know, the head, 2 arms and 2 legs. What we really are is inside in this ability to love in multiple manifestations. That's what we are, and that's what's under attack. It's just completely under attack in every way, all the time. You know, the Federal Reserve, the currency, the economic collapses, the fluoride in the water, the Fukushima, the vaccinations, the chemtrails, yeah, the geoengineering. I can't, you know, it's very hard to get it all completely into one's head. But, you know, if you just go through the list, it keeps getting bigger and bigger. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I don't know. The pesticide, everything is an attack. And it's a slow attack, of course, because you tend to notice that you die instantly if somebody drops dead right by you. But a lot of people do drop dead, but, you know, they're kind of isolated. They don't go down on a clump. So nobody notices, and especially if it's not reported. you know.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if the news, because our eyes and ears are really the media, you know, find out what is going on. We don't. They don't tell us. Well, I do know something about the All-Star game, but that's about as far as it goes. I recommend that people work in groups, get together, and discuss the, you know, what the world should be, and look for the flaws in what it is now. I don't have a website at this time, but I can send you links, references if you want to put them up on yours.
Yes, go ahead. So because we like to put up stuff on Facebook and everything. Are you on Facebook?
I think I am, but it doesn't matter because I don't ever go there.
Okay, because we have like a big website on Facebook that we put all this information for viewers and new viewers and everything. What are your views on the current war, Israel and Gaza?
Well, well, I mean, obviously, Israel is just taking everything away and obliterating the Palestinians. I mean, I don't see how one can see that any other way. But it turns out, you know, that the founders of Judaism, so to speak, Abraham and Moses, were actually Egyptian pharaohs, and then Akhenaten was probably Abraham. But some references say he's Moses, but I don't know if that makes any difference. So we have something that's not human, the different species creating Judaism. And you know, and so it's clear that the Judaism has been organized to present problems and to be overwhelmed with denial, and to say, you know, that they are always the victims, but never the aggressors. And but it's certainly not the case in what used to be the Holy Land. I mean, I think that they need one state. Everyone needs to be treated as a human being, and the separation needs to end because it's not going to work out for the Jews, for the Israelites, obviously the Palestinians are under incredible attack.
Do you see this leading to World War III?
Well, they're trying their best. They love war. And I think they've tried a number of tricks to try and get us into war. I think Karen talked about that too. You know, they're trying to go to war with Iran. They try to go to war with Syria. I mean, they're trying to get a hot shooting war going. Of course, there's always this electronic sabotage, infiltration, deception war. I mean, if that's World War II and a half, I mean, of course, that's going on completely. But, you know, to whether or not the atomic bombs are going to fly, I think that people are getting rather suspicious of war. And that brings up the business of the Twin Towers. I'm going to give a recommendation for Judy Wood. Where did the towers go? Because they talk about, you know, the airplanes with the fuel in it. Well, that's not going to do it. But then the towers are just gone. There's really no rubble there to speak of, and these were enormous buildings. And Judy Wood talks about them being dustified. Some extraordinarily modern technology was applied to these towers, and that's important. That people should be aware of that. So I would recommend looking up Judy Wood. She has a fabulous book,
okay,
and she has a fabulous website. Everyone should be familiar with the work of Judy Wood. And of course, somebody will say, well, there's nanothermite. Well, of course there's nanothermite there. It was put there to draw our attention away from the fact that the towers just were vaporized, or primarily, or dustified, would be the way of putting it.
Well, obviously it was an inside job.
Inside, yeah.
But a new world order.
So, yeah, and So you're talking about the Illuminati, the 13 families. I haven't really thought too much about how that works out because I think everything ultimately is going to come up to direction from a species that dominated the world, ran the world during the Ice Age. Overtly, they were right out there, and they've been forced to go into hiding. Don't know exactly how or why or even where. They're probably underground, and they want to control the Earth again overtly. They want to control it completely, and we're in the way as we are now. So what we are now is in the way, and so they want to cull the numbers and transform us. And if you look around, that's what's happening.
And I'm sure the 13 families still do run the world, but these beings, they must still be around somewhere, controlling somehow.
I think they are. I think they're very much here.
They could be within the government.
Hmm?
They could be within the government, working with them.
I think they control the secret government.
Exactly. Like what's your take?
They created. They tell somebody what to do, and that person tells somebody else what to do. There's a chain of command here, which I don't know, but things just are not done right ever. it's always a mess,
What are
World War I is a mess. To World War II, no, nothing. It just one horror after another.
It never ends. Dr. Spencer, what about Area 51?
Well, I think that's part of the cover-up. Remember, I should say Mac Tonis was writing a book entitled Crypto-Terrestrials, in which his thesis was a lot of the UFOs and all this stuff is just to hide the fact that there's something else here. And he died in his sleep before the book was finished, and he was 34 when he died. So I think that Area 51, this tells you that maybe they don't want this information out there. 51, I think, is just really, it's showbiz, really. I think the whole ET extraterrestrial thing is showbiz. Big time showbiz, very expensive showbiz, but understandable showbiz, because if my theory is correct, and and I believe it is because it's made predictions. These crypto-terrestrials, they don't have spaceships and they don't have any place to go. They're here with us, so we're going to have to work it out together.
But do they have technology? They must have like.
They have our technology.
They don't have
the people building all the things that destroy us. They've got hold of. But we're doing it because we don't think clearly. We don't think down the road. Like what is going to be done with this? There's a book called Disciplined Minds, which is about physics students, and Jeff Smith is the one who wrote it. It's a really good book. It shows how everyone's mind is soul battering. Is the description he uses. We're all soul battered, and it's taken a long time to put this into effect. But that's one of the reasons why it's sort of hard to understand. Like, you can't believe, that there are millions of pieces to this puzzle of why everything is falling apart or is self-destructing. But if you think of it in terms of thousands and thousands of years, working with a superb knowledge of human behavior, psychology, you can see how it can be put together. You can see that it's possible that it can be put together. Somebody was just generation after generation working at doing it, and then it all fits. Then it fits together into a scenario which is understandable, and I think it's probably correct.
What are your views on UFO sightings that we see in the sky? What's that all about?
Well, I don't know. Some of them are clearly military airplanes with lights.
Right.
There are a lot of radar sightings that are all suspect because radar electronic systems can be hijacked. Remember, they can hijack the human brain. So the other thing is, that the UFO sightings might be EEG heterodyne. You look at Robert Duncan, the Matrix Deciphered, or the other book is Soul Catchers, and you see, that we really don't have our minds now. We have to be cautious at all times that electronic thoughts and emotions we're not being impaired by them. And I don't think it's very hard to tell. I'm not sure I can. I think I can tell sometimes. So I think it's very likely that the UFO sightings are part of a show.
Could it be part of Project Bluebeam?
Pardon?
Could it be part of Project Bluebeam?
What is Bluebeam?
Oh, it's like a light show. Project Bluebeam is something the military could put holographic images in the sky, like to fake the second coming or an alien invasion. You never.
Well, yeah, I would say so. I don't know where the technology is, but I do know that whatever we know about technology, they're ahead of us with this.
By how many years? 50 years?
Probably. Yeah, you can sort of make a judgment on that with the abduction story, because that began in about, let's see, John Mack, this guy, links to start at the beginning at about 1960, which is roughly the time frame when the supercomputer became available. So you can say that there was an incredible ability to deal with the human mind in 1960. So, we're 54 years past that. Got my math correct. So, the technology just keeps going. And of course, people do it for money, and they don't think about what's going to be done. There are some who do, of course, and you start hearing people who are getting out. But we just, by and large, just do things for a paycheck.
Yeah. Or,
that's simple.
Exactly. But where do you think all this technology comes from? It must come from some kind of alien source or something.
No, we're pretty clever. I think we're clever. We can do it. I think we did it because they didn't have anything. They would have had sailing ships and some method of measuring angle. But I think they still have what is it? There's an instrument. The Golden Thread of Time book. It talks about measuring with what was called the Celtic cross, and I think one was even found in the pyramid. So that's what they had, and with a lot of observation, they could map the Earth. And I think the technology is all developed by human beings. The major technology, certainly the incredible advance now. I don't think we have to be afraid of them for creating weapons. I think we have to be afraid of human beings creating weapons and giving it to them. And not even knowing that, of course. They wouldn't know how that works. It's a major thing is to get people to look at the long-term view, not think about the here and now, which is really hard to define. And it's probably nowhere. They have to think about the future of humanity, the future of their children, and learn more about the past, which is hidden. But I don't think these beings are necessarily great engineers and scientists. They just they do have different brains. Their brains are clearly different.
Who created them?
I don't know.
Where can we find them if we want to go look for any that are alive? Are they below the ground, in the hollow earth, in the mountains?
Well, I think they're probably in the tunnels we have dug at this point. I mean, I think they're not out walking around except for the big brains that were noted in
the cone heads.
Yeah, the cone heads, which I think the ones who are probably in charge, are not visible, and they're probably stay out of sight. And we don't really know where, but we do know that the government's not on our side. So presumably, or what we think of the government, which is actually corporations, everything is just corporations. It's destruction of government is what we've experienced. The United States became a corporation in 1871, I think. I don't know about Canada. I can't believe that you're not impaired by the same.
We are.
Forces, yeah. So everything's a corporation. That's why why nothing works. Why the people you vote in don't do anything that you want because they don't really work for you. They're working for somebody else.
Yeah, it's like like the Democrats and the Republicans. Whoever you vote for, they still work for the same person, left or right. The person in charge controls it all, both parties.
Yeah. So I think that it's probably it's going to go for humanity at this point because the accumulation of knowledge is very great, and but it's not necessarily going to be easy, and it's not going to be safe for everyone. Primarily because of ignorance. People just don't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
It's so highly refined and organized for men to do stuff and not know what they're doing.
How do you think the economy is going to hold up? Do you think there's going to be a collapse soon?
I don't know, but I talk to Karen about this and other people like that, and I don't know. Of course, they could collapse it at any moment if they wanted to, and they probably could keep it going if they want to. And by they, I mean the bankers, whoever the bankers report to. So I think everyone should be cautious and think that the economy may well collapse.
To bring in a one world currency.
Yeah, to bring in a one world currency and who knows what else. But also the geoengineering is going to have lethal effects. That they made this great big hole in the ozone layer, and California, apparently spray off the California coast, and there's harm. So there's a tremendous drought in western United States. The weather that was supposed to come here went somewhere else. People are freezing and covered with snow. There's only so much weather on the world, and they just have to shift it around. But I don't know what's going to happen. I feel that what everyone should do is to develop, study ethics, and get together and talk about it.
Oh, for sure. And in closing, is there anything you would like to add before we end the show for our viewers?
I can't think of anything right now, but I think I'll always keep in mind and tell others it's the media's fault. They're our eyes and ears, and they're blind. They're almost the primary culprits right now.
They just put whatever they want, whatever they're told to do, which is irrelevant.
Yeah, for whatever the forces are, it could be advertising or whatever it is. But that's a link. That's a serious deficit, because obviously if everything is worth that we should know with a newspaper or on television, we wouldn't be in this state.
No.
That's it. So, and then of course,
Big Pharma.
Well, okay, thank you then.
Yeah, exactly, because Big Pharma, they control everything also, pills and that.
Oh yeah, well they're totally, I worked for them. Yeah, that was certainly my step of the deal. I was passing those pills
and
out of ignorance.
So taking pills is no good, right?
Well, you just can't say that pills are no good, but I'm very suspect.
Okay.
That the medicines are not what they should be, and that Big Pharma is also allegedly into profit. I think it's a fig leaf, so that when things get cheaper, they're made unavailable, and a lot of things that are really good and would probably be free are suppressed. So
Like cures
and
for
evil.
like cures for cancer and cures for other
Yeah,
types of
yeah.
diseases.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Dr. Spencer, it's been wonderful, and we hope to have you back on the show soon. You've been wonderful. We enjoyed having you on the show, and so did our viewers. So did our viewers. You're very welcome, and we want to wish you a good night. And I'll send you the link once the show's up.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Maybe there'll be some questions I can answer there. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right.
What a wonderful guest we had on tonight.
Yeah, lots of information. It wouldn't stop all the information. There was a lot of things to grasp, a lot of things to learn, and no, I'm glad we had him. I have to re-listen to the show again, because there's just so much information.
Well, for sure. There's a lot of information that you want to grasp into, and yeah. So, like, we didn't know much about the conehead, the Homo Capensis. There's not much on Google. Hopefully, we could expose this even more now with this show and get it going, because I think everybody should know about these species.
But that's another thing I've noticed, and I wrote it down on the Chatango. Even last week's guest, she and he brought up that Pharaoh, that Moses was a Pharaoh. It's the second time someone tells us that.
But didn't he have like a conehead himself or something, Moses?
No, he didn't have cone head. He had
antenna.
Because no horns, because that's what I forget what was the point of him having cone. I mean, not cones, but horns. I think it's either he rebelled or it's because he knew a lot of stuff.
Moses did rebel?
Yeah, at the end. God told them something about the rock.
Right.
And he goes, he didn't follow the rock, which is Christ, so he rebelled.
Okay.
And that's why he wasn't able to go to the promised land, which was Israel, because he rebelled against God. When God told him to look at the rock, and he didn't want to look at the rock.
Oh, boy. So, yeah, fascinating. So, anyhow, that's it for this week on the show. We'll be back in a couple of weeks because we are taking a vacation. We'll be back in August, folks, with a new season of MnR Live TV show. So, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes, it was fun doing it. We will be back.
So in the meantime, God bless you all. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. And that's it. So thank you and God bless you.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you for watching. You're the best. Don't close your eyes. Always keep them open because there's a lot to see out there. Have a good night. Thank you.
Later.
Bye.